Here, taxiivation versus Keith. We're in winners finals. Winner this moves on to the winner side of grand finals. And Keith starts off with first strike there, or I guess first little bit of damage.
First little tap. He does have that hammer that you're talking about. See how well he does against it. On the other side, though, taxiivation, obviously no stranger to the Chun-Li, no stranger to these gauntlets. Already starting off pretty strong.
Yeah, and Keith fighting back in any way you can, especially versus the gauntlets. It feels like you're either getting hit a lot first as hammer, or you're reacting to the burst options. And Keith hasn't been avoiding them very well, but has been getting nice damage in. Nice little spear damage as well with the down airs from taxiivation. Keith getting the down airs of his own, though, and the damage slowly building up for both players here as we get towards that KO color, and eventually it gets quite scary. Side air off the wall. Now Keith with an opportunity. Doesn't go for it with the recovery. Taxiivation gets back. Side air into Nair. Not going for recovery, but that ground pound will find the reversal, and Keith takes first strike.
Yeah, in a way, Keith was kind of just looking for that singular moment, that opportunity. You saw him dodge down to avoid that side air from taxiivation, and then just sat on that wall waiting for taxiivation to come in. But nice gravity cancel side sig, and it looks like taxiivation gonna start emoting a little bit, feeling a little some sort of way already.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to taxiivation. He's a very energy and vibes player, I find. So if he's not feeling it, he's definitely not going to win. So trying to get his mojo back as the game evens out here. Nice down stick covering the cross-up dodge through. And now the juggle continues as Keith lands down with a down air, gets a side light there, but doesn't go for the end like taxiivation with a down air into side air, sends Keith off stage. Keith reversal recovery, and Keith in this game with the juggle stayed alone on the sword. Been good at keeping taxiivation in the air. The down air sends him off stage once again, but taxiivation also fighting back pretty well on the gauntlets.
Yeah, not overly surprised to see Keith currently locked in with that sword. I looked at some of the past character picks. Looks like it's predominantly been like Val and Asuri for the most part. So sword's definitely going to be that kind of common denominator across his three.
Absolutely. Taxiivation down a stock once again, but he was able to equalize quite easily. Goes for the D-Light there into weapon pickup. Instead, Keith getting some big damage with the end light after to follow it up after those side lights. And now already taxiivation in the yellow. D-Light into side air off the side light. Keith with an edge guard opportunity. D-Light into side air. Drops it a little bit too low on the D-Light hitbox, but the down air into recovery. No recovery, but another nair on Keith. And taxiivation is definitely looking worse for where it needs to equalize. Doesn't equalize with that GC uppercut, and Keith once again back on top.
Good avoidance on taxiivation's side, not getting hit by that weapon toss, but that time down light into side air on the main stage. Easy KO for Keith, and clean game one, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I really expect to see that from Keith, the really strong hammer play, and I feel like I want to look at the stats here to see if it was predominantly that hammer that was able to get it done. But from what I kind of observed, it felt like that for sure, where the hammer was doing a lot of the damage there.
I don't know, I feel like it was a little bit split, because like the second stock I felt was pretty sword heavy, and then that final stock was pretty hammer heavy. So I almost want to say like, yeah, it was kind of a decent balance. Obviously, we're both kind of being speculative because we don't have the stats here right now.
Nonetheless, Keith looked pretty dominant in that game, no matter what combination of weapons taxiivation had. I feel like what I noticed a lot on the sword was that it looked really, really solid on the side of Keith as well, where he was able to deal with the gauntlets as well as the spear, which I think can definitely be like a troublesome matchup for sword. And sometimes, especially when Keith is playing like super juggle heavy, you can get reversaled a lot with down airs. You can get hit with a lot of those like very heavy spacing moves. So all things considered, I'm like, yeah, Keith looks like this Bovar pick. Very smart decision versus the Chun-Li.
3, 2,
Yeah, it's been working well. We'll see how well it does as we get into game number 2 onto Miami Dome, starting off again with that hammer against taxiivation.
Nair side air already starting off with so much damage on the side of Keith. A side light as well with an immediate weapon starve angle for Keith as taxiivation is fighting to get into this game. He'll do so on the spear. Nice dodge away read with the Nair, but it's not a hard commitment read, so you don't get much damage, and Keith gets right back to his business. Just the Nairs and the juggles on the sword.
Ooh, but bad dodge there as he gets caught by 2 neutral lights from taxiivation, and taxiivation kind of bringing this one back by the 20 damage difference right now, as actually taxiivation up by 3 damage right now. Hits that side air, doesn't get the weapon toss. Opportunity here for taxiivation because he's got that stage control and weapon advantage, but can't get that finishing blow.
D-Light side air, and that's going to be the difference of Vodvar versus the Chun-Li. You have much easier confirms into actual KOs. Right now, taxiivation winning neutral a lot, but not converting into anything. In a GC side sig from Keith, and a little celebration of a cake. No better time to have some cake than when you're up a game in winners finals of SCA Summer Champs. But Keith is going to continue to hold on to a lead here in this set. Nice recovery from taxiivation, evens it up immediately.
Dude, that's a bad taunt. Not a bad taunt, but that's a bad taunt to do in response to Cake. Like, he hits you with Cake, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do the same Cape taunt that I did earlier. Like, gotta level up the taunt game.
Yeah, bro's trying to aura farm, and it's not working. You know what I'm saying?
It's like we've already seen that one. Show us what else you got.
Side light into recovery, doesn't connect. Keith fighting right back with the sword, the side air, and a lot of recoveries trying to cover. Taxiivation trying to stack on top of him. A ground pound comes out, and a ground pound from Taxiivation a little bit too early there, or a little bit too late, I should say. Side air, ground pound, side air. Taxiivation bonks his head on the ceiling, but it makes it back. Keith, another ground pound. We're getting a little bit funny on the right side of the stage, but we both make it back, and no one takes any damage from it. So all things considered, it really didn't happen.
Yeah, a little slop there. Taxiivation took a little bit of damage, but top of the map, Keith gonna get that recovery. Another Cake in the face of Taxiivation. Keith looking solid.
D-light into side air, Taxiivation holding on as much as he can. Side light there, looking for the pop-up, doesn't find the side air either, and an end light from Keith gets him back into the action. But a side air out of the corner from Taxiivation makes it not so easy for Keith to rack on this extra credit. Yeah, we end light the wrong way. There was no one there, but Keith happy to take that drop from Taxiivation as the end sig comes out as well, and Keith continues to hold on to this big lead.
I am a little surprised to see Taxiivation not signaturing a little bit more, as he takes a huge chunk of damage. This is bad, and that is worse. KeithThePooPoo gonna win game number 2, 2-0.
The hammer drop, the side signature. Keith using the signature kit, as you were trying to, allude to before the game ended so abruptly. Somehow Keith is getting more value out of his signatures than Taxiivation, playing the Chun-Li, which has very, very strong signatures. And yeah, like you were saying, like kind of a question mark on why we're not seeing more of it.
Yeah, it is interesting because, like you said, and like I said, the signature kit of Wushang can be really strong. That's one of the things that people actually really like about Wushang, is like spear side signature comes out really quick, catches a lot of people off guard, and then both of his neutral sigs are really good at catching out jumps, and Taxiivation is not really using any of that. He also had a really good read with the down signature, like you said, in game 1, where he got that cross up on KeithThePooPoo, and again, you saw it once, and I'm done with it.
Absolutely. I feel like you definitely have to lean into the strengths of your legend, even if it doesn't work a couple times in the set. And hopefully we're going to see that from Taxiivation here as he tries to win some mojo back. But Keith feels really, really confident here for sure. So we're going to see how he's able to disrupt this. I feel like it's going to be quite a difficult task for Taxiivation. But Taxiivation is PR number 3 in Southeast Asia. So somebody that can definitely do it. Won Winter Championship over the likes of Keith in Southeast Asia. We'll see how he's able to do it here. As we get into game number 3, KeithThePooPoo up 2 games to 0. Taxiivation back against the corner, looking to keep his tournament alive in the winner side of things. But Keith, that's kind of been the motif of the set. Taxiivation opens up with a neutral interaction. Keith immediately reversals it and does more damage. But Taxiivation, I like this little lead as he's built up here with the gauntlets.
Yeah, I like the attempt there. Wanted to keep that pressure going, tried to go for the off stage, but was attacking it from a different angle than straight vertical, because as many people know, that hammer vertical can be really dangerous. Taxiivation, that time he's going to throw out the sig, but KeithThePooPoo already on the other side.
It just goes for the simple D-light into side air as we get a downer off stage. Keith fighting back in this game as Taxiivation has been slowly slipping away this lead. The weapon toss goes up, the sword in hand now. Side light, wait, looking for recovery. Can he find it? No, but a ground pound from Keith gets punished by an end light, and another end light from Taxiivation. Keith, one option, doesn't make it back. Side air from Taxiivation confirms that stock, and for the first time in the set, Taxiivation first strike and a lead here.
Yeah, really clean play coming out from Taxiivation. You saw him be a little bit more particular about how he went on that attack onto KeithThePooPoo. You saw him hit that side light and then kind of just wait and then come back down, neutral light into that side air. So he's a lot more patient with his attacks.
D-light into side light into recovery, getting the nair into the downer on the soft platform extension there. A lot of damage for Taxiivation on this extra stock he has here.
He didn't touch!
Oh, so unfortunate. I feel like that's a pretty common thing where players will go for the weapon toss and they'll try to do too much before they even make it back to the stage. You got to catch the ball before you run it in for a touchdown, and unfortunately Taxiivation doesn't do either there. As Keith now looking for a way to get back in this game in terms of the damage. D-light into downer, looking for this juggle now as Taxiivation throws his weapon away, forfeits it for the favor of the gauntlets here.
Yeah, definitely feeling his gauntlets a little bit more right now. Hits that down light into the side light, into the recovery, getting some good damage here. But he can start looking for that KO onto Keith, because Keith is adding up damage in response.
Sideline recovery, no dodge from Keith. Nice mix-up there from taxiivation as he just immediately like waits a little bit on the recovery. Keith trying to anticipate something to dodge through, and instead taxiivation comes out on top there. Really, really smart stuff. Recovery from Keith, a side air as well on the soft platform, doesn't find it. Downer, waits, goes for the nair. Nice dodge from Keith as Keith gets back in this game, but taxiivation so up a stock, looking for that extra credit right now. Side air, dodge through recovery, doesn't find the recovery, but taxiivation is kind of running laps around Keith right now. Side air off the weapon toss, going for the deep ground pound, has to hold it so he doesn't get hit by the weapon toss, but a recovery from Keith. And taxiivation still happy to go for risky plays like that as you can end the game out, but so unfortunate. We'll see if taxiivation can get back in this game.
Oh no! What a tragic way to lose a game and a set. Unfortunate, but taxiivation gonna throw away that final 2 stocks, and that's gonna be KeithThePooPoo with a clean 3-0 now. He's going into the grand finals winner's side.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, things go that way, but unfortunately, for taxiivation, he's not going to be able to win that game. We go into our next set in the elimination side of things. But before that, I mean, Keith, congratulations. He's made it